Good day, Internet. I apologize for not posting for like almost half of a year. I just really don't get into the mood to edit and release videos in the winter because it's a boring, depressing time. But your boy's been busy. Not so much on this car, but on the Mazda Speed 3. It is going along quite well. It has been quite the journey, and there's a lot of stories along with that. That video is going to be coming out hopefully within the next month. But the story is still ongoing. It's not even at my place right now, and we'll talk about that when we talk about that. But I'm picking away at a bunch of little things that I want to get done on this car for this year, and it's a good time to do it right now because the tire on the other side on the front is extremely bald, and it's actually down to the bands, and I don't trust this anymore. I really don't want this to blow up on me and destroy my wheel well and stuff. Not interested in playing those types of games. So potentially tomorrow I am going to get my Nankang NS2s in the mail. So those hopefully are going to look pretty sweet on the car. Same size that I have on it right now, 195/50 15s. So what am I going to be doing to this? So here's a story. I managed to melt a lead battery terminal. I didn't think that was a thing that was possible. I'll insert some pictures from right after it happened. Long story short, I'm pretty sure this is not the same battery because the battery got damaged as well in this incident. The car was not cranking over very quickly, and it wasn't wanting to start. And I was cranking it over for a decent while. Nothing insane. Nothing even close compared to my 12A starting video. If anybody that's watching right now has seen that. I was cranking that thing over forever. This was nothing close to that, but I managed to actually melt this. So that turned back into liquid lead. And then that liquid lead sat on top of the battery. So I realized, like, all the power dropped in the car. I was in there. I got out, popped the hood, and like 5 seconds after I opened the hood and I was like trying to figure out what the heck was going on, I saw that drop of lead go and fall through the... I'll show you the battery. So here's the battery that I think this was on its way out anyway, and that's why I think it killed it. You know, I think it kind of did this to itself indirectly. Check that out. So that's sulfuric acid in there. Not good. Not good. So I took that out of the car immediately because I didn't want it to burn the thing down. And I'm pretty sure that just happened because I was using a bit of a sketchy terminal arrangement where I was using this as a power distribution hub for, on the positive terminal, 1, 2, 3, 4 wires. And yeah, it just got too hot and the resistance got worse and worse, and we had some thermal runaway and it melted the thing. So that was eventful. So I decided to spend $100 on these very sexy Moroso power distribution battery terminals that are made for this purpose, and they look really nice. The downside, it's not really a downside, it's just something I have to figure out how to do, is how to crimp these. I don't feel like trying to do it with solder because it's not the right way to do it. And I want to be content knowing that this is done really well. And that's never going to happen again. So I crimped this one. What am I using for a crimp tool? I think it did a pretty good job. I'm giving this thing a try. This is a tool that I got from Princess Auto. And you put the thing that you want to crimp in there, and you smash the end of this with a hammer. I thought it was kind of a neat idea. It's specifically made for these larger, like, it's made for welding lugs, but this is essentially the same thing. This is literally a welding lug of the right size. So I'm going to be picking away at trying to make that look aesthetically pleasing. I got that one done. I got to put some, I forgot to put some sort of heat shrink over it, so hopefully I can slip something over there. I should be able to. So that's the thing I'm picking away at. The other thing I'm picking away at right now is the master cylinder. So I have a problem with this car where you go up to an intersection where it's a red light and you're holding your foot on the brake pedal. Even just light pressure, it'll slowly go down to the floor. And then the vehicle starts moving without you noticing, like a lot of the time, which is pretty sketchy. So you have to go, oh, and like pull it up and pump it again. And then it'll go back down to the floor. And oh, we gotta pump it again. Oh, back down to the floor. That's getting pretty old. So I'm pretty sure it's the master cylinder going bad. It's not leaking anywhere or losing any fluid, so the leak is internal, I hope. I hope I don't find a bunch of fluid as soon as I take this off the brake booster. I have bled my new master cylinder, which is Ray Bestos brand off Rock Auto. How much was this? I forget. It wasn't that expensive. Hopefully this brand is half decent. So I have bench bled it, which involves filling it up with fluid and pumping that a bunch, and then as fluid starts to come out of each port, you cap it with one of these plastic things that it comes with, and there's 3 ports. And you know you're done whenever you can only push this in, like 1/8 of an inch, like 3 or 4 millimeters, and it is at that point now. So basically you're using these to cap off each side, and you kind of bleed each one individually to get all the air out of it as you pump it. So you kind of put pressure on it and then crack that, let all the crap out that has air in it, and then tighten it back down again before you release it. And I did that a bunch, and I'm pretty content that it's been done correctly because I cannot push that down more than about 3 mil. So I gotta undo 1, 2, 3. There's another one on the bottom, and then there's 2 bolts that hold it onto the car, and we're gonna make a mess of brake fluid, and hopefully I don't destroy the paint in the engine bay too much. So that's the thing we're working on. Another thing I wanna try and get to, because it's been annoying me, this was actually on the list on last year's video that was kind of like this, where I just ran through a list of things that the car needed. One of them was the hyper flashing and the light that comes on whenever I hit the brake pedal. I don't think it does it whenever it's off. No, we went through this exactly a year ago in another video. But I want to fix that. So I'll have to take this off and get into the wiring under here. That's going to be fun. But I do really want to get that fixed because it's annoying me. And also my ball cooler, the thing that cools your balls, I've had that out of the car for a while, and I really want to put that back in. But I want to get the hyper flashing fixed before I do that because it's all kind of in the same area. Also, I haven't talked about this yet on the channel, but this, check that out. I have no words for how honored I am to be a part of the Rock Auto Collector's Series magnets, but check that out. I am number 510, which also happens to be my birthday, May the 10th, 510, and check that out. It was kind of a dream of mine when I started working on this old rust bucket to get it looking good enough to have it on a Rock Auto magnet, and I've accomplished my dream. So that is the most amazing thing ever. If anybody watching this video gets one of my magnets in an order, I would absolutely love to know. That is just the coolest thing that's ever happened in my whole life. Okay, so we're fixing the hyper flashing, we're fixing the brake sinking towards the floor, we're fixing the car almost lighting itself on fire whenever I try to turn it over. Also, I forgot to mention, this battery that I got from Princess Auto, immediately as soon as I tried this, I was like, oh my god, that turns the engine over so much faster than the old one did. I think the old one was not that great of a battery in the first place. If you're in Canada, Princess Auto has better batteries for better prices than Canadian Tire does. For less money, I am getting more cranking amps than the one from Canadian Tire. So, thanks Princess Auto. Y'all are my bros. I already talked about we're fixing the tires. And the one other thing that I'd like to fix before I start driving this again and we put her back down on the ground is I would like to modify my Sniper throttle cable to extend out further down this way. I want it to be out further because I made this so that from the pedal in the car, I can get from 0 to 100%. After driving this car, I now realize that, oh hey, you can see me. I also really need to polish this and coat it with something because I do take this to shows and I want to keep this looking nice and shiny. Anyway, getting distracted. You really don't need the last like 30 to 40% of the throw on this thing. So it goes that far. I probably only need it to go like that far because this is the equivalent of an 800cc carburetor, and this is a 13B rotary, and it doesn't need nearly as much fuel as this thing can put out. The highest fuel injector duty cycle I've ever seen is like 30 or 40%. So this is really big. Like the throttle body, the butterflies are really big for this engine. So it's already getting as much air as it can consume, around like between 60 and 70% TPS. Or not TPS, but yeah, what this thing thinks is TPS. So it has a sensor that sees where this is positioned. And when it reads around like 70, that's as far as it needs to go. The last little bit of the pedal does not affect anything. It is opening the butterflies more and probably straightening the flow a little bit, but I don't need that area of the pedal. And I mean, I'd take it if there wasn't a downside to it. The downside is that it's incredibly touchy at the very beginning. You move the pedal like that much, like that's basically what you use when you're driving around town. It is incredibly touchy, and I've had other people try and drive this, and they're like, dude, how do you drive this? Because it's incredibly touchy, and that is mostly because I didn't make this my mount thing for this cable long enough. So we are going to modify my implementation of that, make it a little bit longer, and hopefully that will increase the drivability of the car. Well, that was every bit as fun as I thought it was going to be, which was not at all. Brake fluid absolutely all over the place. In hindsight, I would have taken this one off dead last. I would do this after I did those 2 bolts, because as soon as you take this one off, it starts dripping a lot. I think we saved the paint down there somewhat, I hope. Anyway, in there is nice and rusty and crusty, so I just hit it with some undercoating. And I'm not going to spend all day cleaning up the rust in there because I want to get this done. And yeah, I guess it's time to install the new one and hopefully not make too much of a mess. There is our new master cylinder for the brakes installed. Now we need to bleed the brakes, and I need to get these wheels off the car anyway to take them to the tire shop. I'm not taking the whole car in. So let's get this thing up on jack stands and think about how we're going to bleed this thing. Using a one-man brake bleeder kit that I got from Princess Auto for like $3 on sale. It's got a magnet. It's a cheap thing, but it works amazing. It's got a magnet to hook onto something magnetic, and it's just this tiny little reservoir, and there's a straw that goes down the middle, so it basically makes it so that you loosen this. And I don't know how much this matters. It probably does a little bit. I put thread sealant around the outside of the bleeder, because theoretically what could happen, what probably does happen, is if you didn't do that, so this bleeder is loose right now. It's not torqued all the way down so that stuff can go in and out of it. If you push down on the pedal and then pull back on the pedal, whenever it sucks the fluid back in, it's also going to be pulling in air from around the threads. So you don't want that to happen. So that's why I'm using a bit of thread sealant. So this is looking a lot clearer. Maybe I'll give it like a couple more pumps and then we'll call this one good. And then we'll move all the way to the back. So the way it works on this car is there's a single line that comes to the back of the car. It goes to this side, and then it like basically tees off of this wheel cylinder, and then it goes off to the other side. So I believe we don't need to bleed anything here. We just need to go to the other side, because ultimately the fluid is going into here and then out to the other one. So we're trying to get the bubbles out. The bubbles will go right through it, and we'll get them from the other side. That's not what brake fluid is supposed to look like. I have a feeling we're going to be flushing this out for a bit, but probably a good idea. Starting to pick away at some of this wiring attaching to my new sexy terminals. This is how this tool works. You put this in there like that, and then you hit it with a hammer really hard. Allow me to demonstrate. Phone didn't fall over. And this is how we're looking. I'll probably move it up a little bit and then hit it again, and then move it towards the back and then hit it again, just to make sure she's really in there, because this is our starter. Gang shit. Fucking gang shit. We are on our way back from Fredericton. It made the drive perfectly with no problems at all. And hopefully she's going to continue to make the drive with no problems at all. We got to throw some premix into her. These are what I'm using to do premix now, is these bottles that I originally got for break-in on the Speed 3. They're pretty convenient to actually put in there and get all of it out. And it's got measurements on the side. This is currently what I'm doing for premix. We have refueled. Time to keep road tripping in the RX. Alright gang, we made it back from YFC Autofest alive. This car did great. The road trip and the car show were a blast. And I am now working on fixing the hyper flashing, which we have done. Woohoo! Normal flashing. I assume that works if I put the key in. Yeah. Okay. So, here's how to do this on an FB. There's a thread on the RX7 forum on how to do this, but I found it a little bit confusing. So here's what you're going to do. So there's these two wires that are coming out of your, I don't know what to call this, your turn signal stock area, your steering column, that's what it's called. So there's a green with white stripe, and there's a green with black stripe. So what you're going to do is you're going to get a 3-pin flasher device off of Amazon for like less than 20 bucks. And there's 3 connections on it. There's a ground, there's a positive, and there's a load. So here's what goes to what. The ground on it goes to a ground on the car somewhere. What I did is I used, hopefully you can see, I attached a ground wire right here. And I just attached it to a place that was underneath the dashboard that had continuity to ground. So that's relatively simple. You have options there. And the green with black stripe, that goes to your load, your L. And then this goes to positive. So white goes to positive, the black goes to the load, and then the negative goes to a ground on the car. And that's basically it. the guide online, he depinned the ECU, which seems like a bit more of a pain in the butt to me, especially because getting under there really sucks. Not that I didn't have to go under there to do it this way, but just shut up. So I cut, so you can see it used to go there. So we cut it, and I heat shrunk those so that they're not shorting out on anything. And now we have these wires that are going underneath the dash too. I should probably show you this. I hate getting under here. It's really awkward. Oh, God damn it. Goes to this device right here. So I don't know if you can see. It's upside down. There's an L. I don't know why the ground is an E. Oh, probably for Earth. I'm literally just thought of that. It's probably Earth. And the other one is B for battery. And I haven't decided where I'm going to put this yet, but there's lots of room under here. I'm going to zip tie it somewhere safe, and that is going to be our hyper flashing problem solved. Giles finally upgraded his 3D printer. So for the last like 10 years or something like that, I had an ANET A8, which was a $200 do-it-yourself printer back then. And it was continuing to work for me, although it was being very annoying and failing prints all the time. And I didn't realize what I was missing out on by sticking with a super ancient DIY printer. So this is my Bamboo Labs P1S, and it has blown me away in every aspect possible. The quality is amazing, the speed is amazing, everything about it is amazing. The AMS is really cool, being able to switch out filaments on the fly and do multicolor printing. This thing is just incredible, and it was only $1,000. I am blown away. What are you saying, buddy? Do you want the window open? There you go, bud. So, new 3D printer. This thing has been working amazing. I've been playing with it a whole bunch over the last... I've only had it for like a week. There's a multicolor print that I did. That one's made out of PETG, and it's black and clear. There's a little project box that is related to the Speed 3 that you'll learn about whenever I eventually get the Speed 3 videos released. But what we're going to use this for today is to try and make ourselves an extension, whatever you want to call it. The thing for the RX7 we were just talking about. The throttle linkage, or the throttle lever cable extension. We're going to make it longer so that the throttle is less touchy. And right now, how I have it on the RX7 is... you can like the pedal maps to between 0 and 100% TPS reading in the Holley Sniper, and I didn't realize that I don't actually need like the last between like 70 and 100%. It really doesn't change the performance of the engine anymore. The engine doesn't need that much air. So what I'm gonna do is modify the linkage, make it come out more, give it less, or I guess more leverage on the lever that's attached to the carburetor. And I'm going to try and aim so that my full pedal in the car is about 70% in the Sniper, on my throttle position sensor reading. So we're going to try that. But Giles, you're gonna 3D print stuff and put it in a hot ass engine bay, and rely on it for your throttle for your project car. I sure am, buddy, because I recently learned about carbon fiber infused nylon, and I learned how to... I upgraded the printer so that it can print carbon fiber infused nylon, which I've got some of right here. And I learned about this stuff from a 3D printing group I joined on Facebook called 3D Printed Car Parts. And man, are people doing cool shit over there. They are using this stuff to print like intake manifold spacers, and like not just a spacer, but a spacer with a fuel injection nozzle in it, and like actual engine components that handle air and fuel and stuff and heat. So this stuff can handle up to 170 Celsius, which is really good compared to like ABS is about 90 degrees. So this is in the neighborhood of double what ABS can take. It's strong as hell. And it is the stuff that people use to build car parts that are going to get really hot and actually need to be strong. So I think this is a great first real use. I did print a couple of things with this just to make sure I could. Not that one. This one. Here is a Benchy, which for those that don't know, a Benchy is the benchmark little boat print that everybody does to assess 3D printing quality. Please focus. Focus, there. So this is what it looks like. Printer did a bang up job on it. This is the strongest, most heat resistant Benchy ever. And yeah, let's model up what we want this to look like, and let's print it out and see how it works. Alright, so we have the next version of this all CAD'd up. This is where it bolts onto the existing lever. Up here, this flat thing rests up against a flat bent part of the lever. It'll make sense when you see it, so that this whole thing can't move like that. So one bolt hole to hold it to the car, to the carburetor. And then this is where the whatchamacallit is going to go, the throttle cable. And previously, it was about 10 millimeters apart, and now we're going to try 20 millimeters apart. And also before, it was basically straight down, but now it's going to be getting angled at 45 degrees that way, and that will maybe make it so it's less aggressive at the beginning of the throttle pedal travel and more aggressive at the end, which is what I want. I believe if I were to take this and put it on the other side, it would have the opposite effect. It would be really aggressive. It would be extra aggressive due to the geometry of things at the beginning of the pull, and then it would be soft at the end, which is the opposite of what I want. So let's give this a go. Alright, here we go. In my laziness, I've decided to only do one model and mirror this so that I don't have to do it twice. It's going to be a lot nicer to put together now too. Instead of having these washers, I think I had 3 of them stacked and I lost one of them. I had 3 of these washers that were spacing these 2 pieces apart from one another so that the cable had somewhere to live on the inside. But now I'm just building that into the part. And yeah, I'm feeling like this is the right way to do this as long as it actually works and doesn't break. I don't think it's going to. It only takes 15 minutes for me to try it. And if the geometry isn't right and I want to tweak it, then I can tweak it in like 2 seconds and just print it again. Versus me making it by hand out of steel and having to cut out the thing and drill the holes and finish it. Yeah, this is sick. One thing I forgot to mention that kind of helps you understand what PACF is good for. Basically, people say that you can use this stuff in place of aluminum. Anywhere that you would have made something out of aluminum, this stuff will be able to take its place and it'll work just fine. No, it's not the same as aluminum, but 99% of places where you might use aluminum, you can use this stuff as well, which is pretty friggin' sick. One thing with printing this material is that you have to use a glue stick on the bed where it is going to print, and I kind of missed, and sure enough, it did warp the smallest amount where it did not have the glue, but it's good enough for a prototype. In fact, for these prototypes that I know I'm not going to use, I could just use PLA, but they're so small, I might as well just print them out of the real stuff and not bother with switching it around. I can't run this stuff in my AMS, unfortunately, because it is very abrasive, and the stuff inside here that the filament runs up against is not hardened and not able to deal with that without it wearing it down really quickly. I kind of regret not getting the AMS2 Pro, to be honest with you, because it would allow me to run hardened filaments right in it, and it also would have drying capabilities, so I wouldn't need a separate dryer. But this was cheaper than getting the AMS2 Pro, but I kind of feel like I lost my one chance at getting it for a good deal. It was $190 extra to get the AMS2 Pro that can deal with hardened filament, or abrasive filament, and has the drying feature, but whatever, this works. And also the AMS2 Pro cannot dry while you are printing, which with this I can do, so I think I might be experiencing firsthand what happens when you don't dry that stuff enough, because the first prints that I did with it, whenever I took it right out of the package, they look really good and clean and crispy. But these look not quite as good. I feel like this is because the filament has absorbed moisture, and they say that like before printing, every time you should have this stuff being dried out at like 70 to 80 degrees Celsius for like 8+ hours. And this has been in there for like 2 or 3 hours. So let me bump that up. Keep drying that filament, buddy. So it's not a big deal, but it's coming out a little bit ugly. Like you can see where the nozzle is crashing into the part a little bit there. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do a print tomorrow after this has been properly dried out, and we'll see what the difference actually is. It would be nice to actually see some feedback as to why I need this thing, because so far I've just been listening to what people say. I'm a very hands-on learner. I learn things by experiencing what happens when you don't do that thing, versus just taking somebody's word for it. So anyway, it's fine. The insides of the holes are becoming a little bit smaller than what I asked for, more so than usual, I think because of the moisture that's in the filament. So I had to make the holes a little bit bigger in the software, which I might have to undo once it's dried out. We will see. But let's see if I can actually assemble this on the car. First drive with the 3D printed lever extension. It's definitely better. I think I'd still consider it touchy, but it seems better. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see. So just cruising is about there. Pedal being lighter now that we have more leverage on the lever on the carburetor. I just shifted with my left hand to get you this amazing shot of me going through a roundabout. Our install of the turn signal flasher unit was mostly successful. But it's doing this weird, annoying thing where it's clicking irregularly, constantly, all the time. You can hear it, listen. I don't know if that's gonna pick up on camera, but I've confirmed that it is that flasher thing, and it must just be picking up voltage interference from the way that I wired it. So I don't know what to do about that. Maybe I could order another one of those cheap flasher units on Amazon and see if it doesn't do the same thing. Maybe could try moving the ground. I don't know, but it is pretty annoying. I will say it is pretty annoying. It's not doing it constantly, it's doing it irregularly. It's like click, 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 click. Like it's not like it's on all the time like if I do that. Like, listen. On, now I'm going to turn it off. Hear that? I'll maybe play that again to make sure that you can hear it. That is really annoying. Why the heck is that doing that? Wish it wasn't doing that, but this car is just ensuring that I always have something to work on. Alright, it's a couple weeks later, and I got a little bit carried away in a good way. I ended up remaking this out of 3D printed plastic as well. The throttle cable arm, I guess you could call it. The mount for the throttle cable. So originally this was made out of steel, but whenever I started thinking and looking at this geometry of the throttle cable and the lever here, This is kind of a hard thing to explain. I've taken a couple of takes so far trying to explain my logic as to why I made this the way that I made this. So previously, where the end of this cable attached was more so like right here. It was at this part of the throttle lever. So there was a pretty sharp angle at which this was attached. So to exaggerate, imagine this came out really far, like down here, and it was at an angle not like that, but like that. Just imagine. And this cable was extra long to make it out there. Whenever you start pushing on the pedal and this starts moving, it's going to be extra sensitive right at the beginning, because it's going from, you know, I think I'll just try and put up a visual on the screen and you can see what I'm getting at. So before it was pretty sharp. It was at a sharp angle like that. Now, if you look at where the fulcrum, I think that's the right term to use, of, you know, where the shaft is to where that mounts, see, that's about a 90-degree angle now. So it's 90 degrees. I think I went like 5 degrees extra in that direction. So my idea, or the thought there, is that it's going to make it less sensitive at the beginning of the pedal, and I guess a little bit more sensitive at the end of the throw where it starts getting shallow like that. So when you're way out here, a little bit of pull makes for a lot of spinning, a lot of extra throttle input. But when it's like 90 degrees, you have more fine-grained control. I think. If I'm completely wrong about that, put it in the comments. But I've also extended this out way more than I thought I ever was going to. So look at how long that is. If anybody cares to have these files, I will happily upload them, but I don't know if anybody cares, because this is a pretty specific thing to have not just a sniper, but a Sniper 2 on a rotary. But yeah, check that out. It uses these 2 bolt holes, and I have no idea what these are actually designed to be used for, but I'm using them for my awesome throttle cable mount. And the effect of this is that now, so, excuse the dust, I am going to pull up anything that has the throttle position, not that screen, sensors, TPS. So whenever I floor it now, it should be moving way more than that. Seriously. Why is it only going to like 57? Did it bend, perhaps? And that has changed where things are. It used to be like 65. Okay, if I'm really mad, it goes to 60. It used to go to 65. That's interesting. I wonder if that's perhaps because it started bending a little bit in the heat of the engine bay. Don't know. This is an experiment. But so now, whenever I go to the floor, this only is actually open like 60%. I was aiming for like 65, and I think I explained this already in this video. I didn't need that much travel on the butterflies, because from like 60 to 100%, it wasn't, the engine didn't need any more air. So my MAP reading, my manifold pressure reading, was already at atmospheric. So opening those even more wasn't getting me, you know, there was no effect. So whenever you were driving, if you're already flooring it, you could, you know, do this and it would have no effect at all because of what I just explained. So yeah, I think I can wrap this video up now. Am I allowed to release it now? I still need to fix that annoying clicking that's going on with the whatchamacallit box. But that's low priority right now. If you made it this far in the video, let me give you a sneak preview of what's going on with the Speed 3 right now. Yeah, we're tearing it apart again. We are tearing it apart again, and I'll tell you all about that whenever I eventually actually record the video. Well, I guess I should probably be recording that video as I go, huh? It does look pretty sick, though. Except for the scrape that I did, like, literally on my way to our big car show this year. I scraped that on my buddy's driveway. Oh well, touch-up paint. Anyway, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.